Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, my podcast about knitting and cross stitch. Today is a little bit of a special episode. It is not my regular episode where I go through all of what I've been knitting and cross stitching in the past couple weeks. Today I'm going to be going through every single sock that I have knit out of my Woolberry Fiber Co. Gilmore Girls sock sets. If you don't know, I'll give you a little bit of a background on this. I have been working on these for quite a while, like a long time. The very first sock set I received in November of 2017, and then for some strange reason I decided to save up a year's worth of them before I started knitting them. So I started knitting them in October of 2017. And then I just kind of continued knitting them from there. So, admin first. Before I get started, there are two places that you can find me on the internet. The first is on Instagram at birch.and.lily, and the second is on Ravelry at birchandlily. Okay, so before I start going through all of these socks, I will give you a little overview of them. Here they are. This is every single pair of socks that I have knit from the Woolberry Fiber Co. Gilmore Girls sock sets. I will link this little fabric sock holder thing that I have them in down below, along with all of the information about every single sock. And yeah, let's jump right on in, I guess. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the easiest. I think I will only put one sock on a blocker, so that I'm not yanking socks on and off so much. I think that will be the easiest. I should mention as well, I have not worn any of these. I had another weird thought that I would not wear any of these until they were all completely done. So once this video is done, I can start wearing them and I'm super excited. So, sock number 1. This is the November 2017 Woolberry Fiber Co. colorway. It is called Where You Lead. And I have knit the Cyril socks out of this colorway. This is a pattern by Danielle George on Ravelry. So it's just a really pretty ribbed pattern with some tiny little cables. I have partridge, heel flap, and gusset, wedge toe. Yeah, this is a 2x2 rib. I cast on 64 stitches for this pair, and honestly, I think that's all I have to say. I'm gonna try and keep it pretty simple for all of these. I cast on literally every single one of these socks with a 2.25 millimeter needle, which is US 1, so I don't think I will say that throughout the video because it'll be kind of redundant. But I will say stitch sizes, all that fun stuff. So that is Where You Lead, and the Cyril socks pattern by Danielle George. The other fun thing is going to be putting all these back, because if I put them in some crazy pile, they won't be in order, and that will bother me. So after I show every single one, it will come off the blocker and get folded all nice again and put back in the box thing. Oh, I forgot to mention the Cyril socks that I just showed you guys are on a discontinued base from Woolberry Fiber Co., which is simple sock. It's the 75-25. I will remember to mention that for the rest of the socks. Okay, pair number 2, December 2017. This was the club colorway called It's Magical. This is again on the 75-25 discontinued base. And I knit the Blueberry Waffle sock pattern. This is a pattern that is originally written for DK yarn, but it's very easy to convert it to fingering weight. You just add some more repeats. So I did cast on 64 stitches for this pair of socks. I did a 2x2 rib, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, and wedge toe. I love this colorway. Anything that has, sorry, my camera's kind of blowing this out a little bit. I'll show you this. Anything that has like this creamy sort of color with pretty speckles of all sorts of other colors going throughout it just like totally steals my heart. There's a couple other colorways in here like that, and they are some of my absolute favorite. out of everything that I've knit. So that is It's Magical and the Blueberry Waffle sock pattern. I think I forgot to mention, I'll get better at this as we go, hopefully. This is a pattern by Sandy Turner. I'm recording this a day early. My plan was actually to record it last week and get it edited, but that didn't happen. But I'm recording this a day early because I know it's going to be long. Like, I'm looking at my camera and I'm already at 8 minutes and I've only shown 2 pairs of socks. So this is going to take a while. I'll probably end up cutting out a whole bunch though, because I always talk way too fast and I always stumble over my words. But it is kind of fun to pull these socks out and look at them again. Some of these I haven't looked at in so long. Like these first 2 pairs of socks were finished in November and December of 2018, which is a long time ago when you think about it. So it's fun to pull them out and look at them again and get all excited to wear them. Okay, sock number 3. This is the January 2018 colorway from the Woolberry Fiber Co. Gilmore Girls sock sets. Why I just said that again, I don't know. I finished this pair in April of 2019, so they did take me longer than a month, but I was knitting these over Christmas, and I know myself over Christmas, and I have so many things on the go at once just because I don't know if I'll be able to be working on a complicated pattern, or I need something simple, or who knows. So this again is on the Simple Sock 7525 base. This is the Galiano socks pattern by Tracie Millar. I cast on 64 stitches for these as well. A 1x1 twisted rib, slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and a wedge toe. One thing I do remember about this pair of socks, the way that Tracie does her slip stitch heel flap and gusset is a little bit different than what I normally do, and I do wish I would have put a couple extra stitches in the gusset here. It is a little bit snug over the top of my foot. I should check my notes before I talk about each sock. Man, I'm sorry. This colorway rather is called I Love You, You Idiot. And I will flip it around so you can see the pattern on the front of it. Some awkward sock blocker twisting. So it's got this really, really pretty cable in the middle, which does make the sock tighter, so I think that's also part of the reason I needed more room in the instep. And then this pretty lace detail running down each side of the cable. So yeah, Galiano socks. Definitely want to knit a pair of these again. It was a really fun pattern and very easy to memorize, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, we're gonna do better on sock number 3. I'm going to tell all the important information before I go into anything else. Okay, so this is the February 2018 colorway. It is called Dodger. It is again on the 7525 base. And I finished these in February of 2019. I cast on 64 stitches for these as well. A 1x1 twisted rib, a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and a wedge toe. And this pattern is the Velaris socks. It is a pattern by Hoard Designs, Tristan Molina. She dyes yarn as well. I did actually test knit this pattern for her. It was a really fun knit over Christmas. I worked on it while we were home visiting family. Again, I will twist it around. If you want something really simple and again easy to memorize, this pattern was only 4 repeats. Twist a little bit better. And it's just really simple. It's hard to tell with this yarn, it's quite busy. It's micro striping, of course, but it's just pretty cables running down the whole sock. And then the back of it is all stuck in it. So this did fly really fast when I was knitting it. So yeah, those are my Velaris socks. Honestly, I'm going to stop saying I highly recommend the pattern because literally everything in here I would highly recommend. If I knit it for a reason because I like the pattern, and If I didn't enjoy knitting it, I honestly probably wouldn't have finished it. Okay, sock number 5. This is the March 2018 colorway. I finished this pair in March of 2019. This colorway is called an Amina Paratus. And this pattern is the Shell Cottage socks. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. This was part of the Handmade Sock Society Season 2. I believe you can purchase this pattern separately now. You don't have to purchase it in the bundle on Ravelry, so that's quite nice if you want to cast it on. I did cast this on with 64 stitches. I did a 1x1 twisted rib. This is an Eye of Partridge heel flapping gusset and a rounded toe, which is included in the pattern. And it's just this really pretty, easy to memorize textured faux cable that runs down the whole sock. Again, with these socks, they are snug. I don't know if I would have changed the amount of stitches I cast on, but I maybe would have jumped up to a 2.5 millimeter needle if I was to knit these again. They are, again, it's the instep that's snug on them. There isn't a ton of extra room in the instep on these. I love this colorway. Actually, fun tidbit of information. I accidentally ordered this one twice. I guess I ended up being lucky because I didn't know what it looked like when I ordered it, but purple is my favorite color, and so the fact that I got 2 of this sock set was totally fine. I knit up a pair of socks for myself, and I actually used the other one to knit up a pair of socks for my mom, who also loves the color purple. Honestly, if I think I forgot something because I'm not going through my notes in order like I should be, I will just say it again and we'll see if I have to cut it out when I'm editing. So this yarn again is the Discontinued 7525 base. Both socks are done. They're so pretty. This is honestly probably going to be one of the first pairs I wear. Or am I going to wear them in order? Maybe I should do that, because the very first pair has been sitting there for a lot longer than this one has. Hard to say. I'm worried about wearing them a little bit because we thought the puppy was out of the biting stage, and then now with us being home all the time, she's a little nippy again. She definitely tore my pajama pants yesterday. So that scares me a little bit to wear these socks because I worked so hard and so long on them, but I will be brave. So yeah, Shell Cottage socks by Helen Stewart. Okay, pair number 6. This is the April 2018 colorway called Luke and Waltz. I finished these in May of 2019, and I knit the Samphire Socks pattern again by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. This base is again the 7525 base, and this pattern, the Samphire Socks, is again from the Handmade Sock Society Season 2. So I cast on 64 stitches for this pair, again a 1x1 twisted rib, slip stitch heel flapping gusset, rounded toe. Is this a rounded toe? No, this is a wedge toe. So that must be what the pattern calls for, because I always knit the Handmade Sock Society patterns straight to the pattern. Everything from leg length, obviously not foot length, but everything else is exactly as the pattern calls for. So this pattern is actually quite unique. It has this beautiful broken rib pattern in the back, and if I twist it around, it's really neat on the front. So to get this pattern, it's all just caples and yarn overs. Very simple. I wouldn't say memorizable, but very simple. And Helen's patterns are so easy to follow. You literally have it written line by line of what you're to do. I could just stare at this forever. It's so neat. So So yeah, this is the Samphire sock pattern. We're already at 21 minutes and I'm only on sock 6. And I think there's like 20 some of these, 21, 25, I don't know. And pair number 7. This is the May 2018 colorway. I finished these in July of 2019. We have now transitioned into a 80/20 base. At the point that I was receiving these, that was called the smooth sock base. They still carry this base. I don't know if it's still called the smooth sock base. It may be berry sock now. Or actually, no, you know what it is? It's the berry sock set base. But at this point it was called smooth socks. So yes, it's an 80/20 and this colorway is called I'm Smad. Okay. This pattern is the Tea Leaves Socks, a pattern by Lindsey Fowler, and I cast on 64 stitches for these. Let's see, how do I say this? I enjoy the pattern, it's beautiful. Nothing like that. I had some issues with it though, and it had nothing to do with the pattern, it was my tension. There's a lot going on the front of it, which I will show you when I turn the sock around. But it caused the front of the sock to be lower than the back of the sock, just because the cables pulled this in too tight. So what I would do to remedy that, if you were to knit the pattern, is to just make sure that your tension is quite loose when you're knitting the front, so that it compensates for it and the front and the back are the same. I was able to fix mine with blocking. I just pulled this up quite a bit and actually clipped it to the blocker so that it didn't slide back down, and that solved it for me. But something to keep in mind, definitely, that you need to make sure you're knitting loose on the front of this sock. This is an Eye of Partridge heel flap and gusset on here. The gusset is quite unique. There are yarn overs included in it so that you get this really pretty lace pattern where you're decreasing on the gusset. 1x1 twisted rib. I did end up, this pattern does include a little bit of mathing, and I ended up, the foot ended up being too long by the time I finished the pattern, and so I did end up making the toe shorter. I just decreased more rapidly on it, so this is not the toe included in the pattern. It's just my hacked way to make it work. But let me flip this around. Actually, I'm going to take this one off the blocker. It'll be easier to show. So it has this beautiful pattern running down the front of it. And the reason I had issues with the toe is because it's top down. So you have to be able to know how many pattern repeats to do so that your foot doesn't end up too long, obviously. And then there is this little extra bit here so that you can end all of these diamonds on the bottom of the foot. So that the final diamond ends with a point. I guess that's the best way to put it. So that is why I had some issues. I did my math poorly. I kind of just winged it. And then if I would have done the normal toe called for in the pattern, the sock would have been too long. I hope that makes sense. But it's an absolutely gorgeous pattern. These baubles, this pattern taught me how to do baubles with a crochet hook, and I will never go back. I will never do the normal bauble like the normal knit bauble anymore. This bauble sits on the top of the fabric so beautifully. It doesn't sink in behind. It's a lot easier to do. There's no turning of your fabric at all, or turning of the sock. You're literally just working from the front the whole time, and it's so fast and so easy. And like, there, you can just see how well they stand out from the fabric. Any other bauble I've knit before always sinks back in, and then it's not even a bauble anymore. It's just this really awkward lump. So this bauble changed my life. That is the best way to put it. That would be a good title for a video. But this one has to be titled Gilmore Girls Sock Sets. Dang it. I might still call it that because I really like that. Pair number 8. This is the June 2018 colorway, which I finished in July of 2019. It is called Biscotti Moment. Again, it is on the 80/20 base. This pattern is the Cliff Walk Socks. Again, another pattern from the Handmade Sock Society Season 2 by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. I cast on 64 stitches for this pair, a 1x1 twisted rib, slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. This is just a wedge toe. This pattern is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. It is all faux cabling down the whole sock. This one I will not have to turn to show the front to you because it is the same pattern throughout the whole sock. Biscotti Moment is a really special colorway for me because June of 2018 was the month and year that my husband and I got married. So this is a very special pair of socks for me. I love it very much. Lots of special memories. Get cheesy here from June of 2018, but yeah, this pair of socks is absolutely gorgeous. And it was definitely, I think, one of my favorite ones to knit. Like, something, I don't know, lace has sucked me in. Like, I used to be more of a cable person, and I still love cables. But yeah, this really pulled me into lace. And you'll see, I have a lot of socks in here that have lace. So these socks made me love lace. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about them, I think. I need to try and, I don't know. There's not lots of fancy stuff to say most of the time. I guess if you want to hear even more, you can watch previous episodes. If I ramble on for too long, this will be so long. Plus, I don't remember stuff about every single one of these, to be honest. There's certain socks where it sticks out in my head, like, oh yeah, I test knit this pattern, or I had trouble with this, or whatever, but this pair of socks only has good memories. We are 8 socks in, and there are so many more to go. So many. Sock number 9. This is the July 2018 colorway, I Smell Snow. I finished this pair of socks in July of 2019, and this pair of socks is a test knit that I did for Julie of Twin Stitches Designs. This is her Wingardium Leviosa pattern. This base that I knit this up on is, again, the 80/20. I think everything from here on out is on the 80/20 base, so if I forget to say, I will just make a note right now that everything here on out should be on the 80/20 sock set base. So yeah, this is Wingardium Leviosa. It has a 1x1 twisted rib. Cast on 64 stitches for these, if I did not say. Slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, and a wedge toe. And it's got this beautiful lace pattern on the front, and then this zigzag cable running down both sides. I will flip it so you can see. There we go. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Julie did a, don't mind my lump there. Julie did a wonderful job with this pattern. I really enjoyed knitting it. It knit up very fast. And yeah, look how pretty that lace is. I love lace. I could stare at these socks all day, but I know you don't want to stare at them all day. So yeah, this set is on I Smell Snow. Actually, I think this sock set Bethany and Reese have brought back before around Christmas time. So if you really like this one, obviously Christmas is nowhere close, but keep your eye out around Christmas time. And I very strongly remember them re-releasing I Smell Snow this past Christmas. So I think it is still available. sometimes. I don't want a snow colorway right now. It's just starting to warm up. We got snow a couple days ago after everything had melted for a while, and we had like a 20-degree day, and it was absolutely beautiful, and then it snowed, and it was just not fun. And I don't want any more. My puppy loved it. She was just like ecstatic. I took her for a walk, and she could not stop jumping up at the snowflakes and shoving her little nose in the snow, but I don't want any more snow. Okay, so next we have sock number 10. This is the August 2018 colorway. I finished these in October of 2019. This colorway is called Vicious Trollop. Again, on the 80/20 base. And this pattern is the Irving Sock pattern by Jacqueline Salem. This pair of socks has some special memories. I knit this pair of socks pretty much exclusively during knit nights with my dear friend Elaine. I don't know if she watches these, but this pair of socks reminds me of her and of watching Superstore while we were knitting. If you haven't seen the TV show Superstore, it's really funny. Would highly recommend, especially if you've run out of TV shows to watch like I have. Anyways, Irving socks. I cast on 66 stitches for this pair of socks actually, and they fit just fine. The couple extra stitches made no difference, to me at least. This is a 1x1 twisted rib, a slip stitch heel flapping gusset with a garter panel on the side of it, a little bit different. And a typical wedge toe, and yeah, it's really beautiful. It has just these simple purl ridges running down the back of it, and I will turn it around. So it has two beautiful cables running down the sides. These are actually quite similar to the cables in the Galiano socks that I showed you earlier from Tracie Millar, or the pattern from Tracie Millar. And then it has this beautiful, would this be feather and fan? I guess kind of, but not exactly. But this beautiful eyelet type pattern running down the middle. I loved these, and actually they were surprisingly easy to memorize. I had this pattern memorized in no time, which is why I worked on it during knit nights, because I didn't have to look at the pattern too often. It was pretty easy to remember what I was doing and what was going on this pair. And I don't know if you can notice on the camera, but there are the prettiest green speckles throughout this pink. I hope you can tell. It's so pretty. I love this colorway. So there we have it. This is the August 2018 colorway Vicious Trollop. Holy crap. I'm almost done. This is going to be so long. It's going to be interesting to edit. That is for sure. It's a good thing I'm recording this a day early. I can spend all day editing it. Honestly though, it's going to probably be shorter because I'm spending most of the time putting socks on and off blockers and putting them away. Sock number 11. This is the September 2018 colorway, which I finished knitting in December of 2019. This is the I Got Hit by a Deer colorway, and the pattern is Cornish Cream Tea, a pattern from the Handmade Sock Society Season 2 by Helen Stewart. Curious Handmade. Let's see. I think this is a 2x2 rib. There might be a little bit of variation in it just so it matches up with the pattern. I have a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and this is most definitely a rounded toe. This pattern was super fun. It's definitely very unique. Stockinette on the back, which I love. It shows off the coloring of the yarn so pretty when there's stockinette on the back of the leg. Okay, here we go. So it's beautiful zigzag cable running here, surrounded by twisted, or yeah, knit through the back loop. Stitches knit through the back loop. Twisted stitches still. And then this really pretty like fan type pattern running down the middle of the sock. Lots of squishy garter stitch. It's a beautiful pattern. Let's see. No, I think this is a 2x2 rib all the way around. If you knit the pattern, it will tell you what to do. But yeah, I got hit by a deer. This is one of my favorite moments in Gilmore Girls, so this colorway was definitely fun to knit up. And it's quite unique compared to a lot of the other colorways in this box. There's lots of pinks, lots of purples, but this is just so different that it was really fun to knit this one up. And I love the 80-20 base. 80-20 is probably my favorite sock base of all time from anyone. I don't know, I find it just, for me personally, gives the stitches such beautiful definition. So these are the Cornish cream cheese socks. Next we have sock number 12. This is the October 2018 colorway. I did not finish these until January of 2020. But that is okay. I cast on 65 stitches for this pair of socks in the Big Fat Happy Sunshine Day colorway. These are the Armida socks, a pattern by Joanna Ignatius. They are a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lace pattern. This rib here, if I hold it back so it doesn't blow out, it looks like a 2x2 rib, but you do convert, I don't know if you can tell here, to a 1x1 rib at one point so that it works with this beautiful little lace panel that runs down the back of the sock. There is a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. This is a wedge toe. Yeah, beautiful pattern. This lace is just gorgeous. I had so much fun knitting it. Sorry, the white is, or the cream is blowing out. And the back of the sock, like, this just is so cool. It's so simple and easy to do, but so unique and pretty. And this lace here is the same lace that runs on the front of the sock, so it just really ties everything together. I will say the only complaint I would have about this pair of socks is that they are a little loose. That's a combination of the lace and the 65 stitches. I think if I was to cast these on again, I would do the next, I think there's a size smaller. So I think I would do that if I was to ever knit these again, just so that they fit a little bit more snug. They're perfectly fine as like a cozy house sock. I have no issues with them. They're not falling off of my foot, but I think next time I would definitely knit a size down for this pair of socks. Over halfway done. Okay, sock number 13. This is the November 2018 colorway. Pop-Tarts are Pop-Tarting. I finished knitting these up in January of 2020, and this pattern is Curiosity and Opportunity by Jorge Locatelli. Honestly, I think this is one of the favorite patterns that I have knit out of all of these socks. It is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful cables. Just you wait till I show you the front of this sock. It's a gorgeous pattern. He did a beautiful job with this. And the back is so cool too. It's all beautiful and textured. I don't want to give away how you do it because obviously it's a paid for pattern. I'm sorry, this is blowing out. But it's beautiful and very, very easy to do. I cast on 64 stitches for these. 1x1 twisted rib, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, wedge toe. Let me turn it around and show you the front. Look how pretty that cable is. It's just gorgeous. Now, obviously, you cannot memorize this pattern. You have to pay attention the whole time, but it was so worth it. It's just beautiful. Oh, he did a gorgeous job with this sock pattern. And the 80-20 base, like I said, it just gives such nice definition to all the stitches in the cables. I just find they pop so nicely on the 80-20 base. And the speckles in this colorway is, oh, it's so pretty. Everything is so speckly and wonderful, and it totally does kind of remind me of the sprinkles on the top of a Pop-Tart. So it's named perfectly. I sound so cheesy. I hope I don't sound as cheesy to you guys as I do to myself, or that it doesn't bother you as much as it bothers myself. Yeah. This is the longest video I've recorded in quite a while, and I think that's why I sound so cheesy to myself. I don't know. Anyways. Okay, sock number 14. So this is the December 2018 colorway called Stars Hollow. I finished these as well in January of 2020. You can tell I did lots of knitting over Christmas. And this pattern, which I will flip the socks around in a moment, is the Poinsettia socks. And this pattern, I will flip it around in just a minute for you guys, is the Poinsettia socks. It is a pattern by Raimo of Maven Crafted. I really hope I said your last name right, Rachael. I'm sorry if I didn't. Yeah, pronunciation is not my strong suit. But I cast on 64 stitches for these, 1 by 1 twisted rib. This is an eye of partridge, heel flapping gusset, and a wedge toe. And this is the pretty lace that runs down the center of each of these socks. Totally looks like the leaves on a poinsettia. It's a beautiful pattern. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think I was able to memorize this. I think I had to look at the pattern the whole time. I love, though, how there's these eyelets running down the side of it that breaks up the lace from the rest of the sock. Very pretty. And yeah, you can see the leaves running down the sock. Gorgeous pattern. Love it. And I love, love, love this really bright red contrast color that the sock set included. Sock number 15. This is the January 2019 colorway, and I finished these in February of 2020. This colorway is called Never Let Them See You Sweat, Dear, and the pattern that I knit up is the Fur Socks pattern by Melody Hoffman. I hope you can see what's going on here. I cast on 64 stitches for these. It's a very unique rib. I don't know how to describe it, but you can see. And wedge toe, and then the pattern from the sock runs down into the heel flap. You can kind of tell what's going on here in the heel flap. So there's these garter panels, and then this, I don't even know what to call it. I'm sure it has a name, but there's long strands of yarn running between stitches. This is a really neat pattern. Learning that stitch is a very easy stitch once you figure it out, but it was fun to learn something that's so new to me. Obviously, you can tell it's new to me because I don't even know how to describe it. But it's a beautiful pattern, and this colorway so much reminds me of like pine and fir trees. So this sock pattern, while I did not plan it because of that, works perfectly with this colorway. So the next sock I have is from the February 2019 colorway. I finished these in March of 2020. This colorway is 1000 Yellow Daisies, and this pattern is the Nightwalk Socks by Lindsey Fowler. This is a beautiful pair of socks and such a unique way to use a mini up. If you're bored of the typical, that's a cuff. If you're bored of the typical cuff heel toes for your contrast color minis, this is a beautiful way to use your mini in a different way. I cast on 64 stitches for this pair of socks. This has a 2x2 rib, an eye of partridge, heel flap and gusset, and a wedge toe. The one thing I would say about this, and I think it's mostly just because I knit my color work kind of loose, trying to compensate for the fact that I used to knit it super tight and then stuff wouldn't fit. So I think, I don't know if 64 stitches is the smallest size. It might actually be. So maybe I would drop down a needle size for myself if I was to knit these again. But this is just gorgeous, this color work here. And then the rest of the foot is just a lovely ribbing, which keeps it nice and snug. So I find this part here is loose, but this fits just fine, which I guess kind of compensates for it in a way because this section holds it on my foot still. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think even with that, I would still drop down a needle size. So that would bring me, instead of my usual 2.25, to a 2mm needle. And I think that would fit a lot better for me. Something else unique about this pair of socks is that the ribbing runs all the way down into the toe. So you don't stop it when you start to do the decreases for the toe. You just keep doing it all the way down, and it looks really neat when it's on your foot. Actually, let's see if I can show you this one. Yeah, that kind of gives you an idea. So it literally runs all the way down the foot. Something else I guess I could say, if you've never knit socks before, every single one of these socks that I've shown you so far, and there's only one pair in this whole box that isn't, is knit cuff down. I find that the easiest for me to figure out how to make the sock fit. So you start here at the top, work down, put in your heel flap, and then you can try it on the whole way so that you get the perfect fit for your foot. So then because of that, when you get to the bottom of the sock, there's a hole here, obviously. So I close all of my socks with a Kitchener stitch, or you might hear it called grafting. It's very easy to learn, and it makes a very seamless, I don't know if I can show this. It looks like knit stitches across the toe of your foot. You can't even tell that it's there. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me. I'm happy to try and help you out. Almost spilled my water. So yeah, that is the Nightwalk Socks by Lindsey Fowler. If you're bored of the typical mini usage, this is a beautiful pattern to try. 6 socks left. And 58 minutes already. We will see how this goes. I guess it's the perfect time to have an hour-long episode when we're all stuck at home. So on to sock number 17. Dropping the second sock. So this is the March 2019 colorway. It is called Miss Patty's Founder's Day Punch. It is on the 80/20 base again. I finished this pair of socks in, when did I finish them? Checking my notes, in March of 2020. This pattern is from the 52 Weeks of Socks book by Lina Magazine. It is called Branches, and it is a pattern written by Amanda Jones. It's absolutely beautiful. I love how there is no cuff. It just starts right away with the lace. It fits perfectly. It does not cause any fit issues for me that there is no ribbing at the cuff. So yeah, the lace goes all the way down the sock. Hopefully you can see this really pretty heel flap here. It's definitely unique. That kind of helps. Sorry, it's blowing out. It's really unique and really beautiful. Definitely time consuming though. I will say by the end of it, I kind of wanted the heel flap to be done. And the other thing I've mentioned in videos before, this is a square turn on the heel flap, and I will not be doing that anymore, at least for my foot. It still turns the heel perfectly fine, but it leaves this little extra flap of fabric here that just makes it not fit my foot as well. So that was a good learning moment for me, I guess. And the sock fits okay, but I definitely have a better fit with more of a rounded heel turn. What else can I say? I think I said wedge toe. I cast on 64 stitches for these. I love this mini. Look, another cream with like colors speckled. This reminds me of a creamsicle, and I love creamsicles. So I think that's part of the reason why I love it so much. But yeah, this starts to hit the time of all of my sock sets where I was just knitting socks like crazy, and I finish a whole bunch all at once. So we will have a lot of March finishes coming up in the next couple socks. Pair number 18 is the April 2019 colorway that I finished in March of 2020. This is called Will You Just Stand Still on the 80/20 base. Anything cream is blowing out today, I'm sorry. This is the Luminary pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. This was the first pattern, which has a dog hair in it. This was the first pattern released in the Handmade Sock Society for this year, the Handmade Sock Society Season 3. It's a gorgeous pattern, absolutely beautiful. I will turn it around on the block for you momentarily. 1x1 twisted rib, which I cast on 64 stitches for. Slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. This is a rounded toe, and it's a very simple pattern. But that's what I liked about it. It was easy to memorize, easy to do while I was watching TV. And you can see here, so these beautiful stitches here, they're kind of almost clusters. The pattern calls them knot stitches. Is it knot or star? Knot, I think. But they're really easy to do and very pretty. It just creates this beautiful texture. I'm trying not to get too close because it might blow out, but I think you can see. And then there's this really pretty lace cabled zigzag. If that's the... Actually, no, this isn't cabled. There's no cabling in this at all. It's all just knit two togethers and slip knits and yarn overs that creates this zigzag running down the side. So as for these socks, I think the only thing I would change, and something that I've learned throughout knitting all of these sock boxes, is if there's no pattern on the back of the leg, I either need to drop down a needle size or a sock size. I think I will be fiddling with that in the next couple pairs of socks that I knit for myself. Because I find when there's stockinette on the back, it just gets so loose. If there's pattern knitting everywhere, it kind of pulls the sock in that little bit and makes it fit me nice and snug. Because with socks, you want that negative ease so that they stay on your foot. And I find if there's stockinette on the back, they just loosen up that much quicker and get kind of baggy on me. So they fit. They will be a house sock, kind of slipper sock type sock. But yeah, I think I might fiddle with dropping down a sock size first. So like I said, I cast on 64 stitches for this pair. I think I would try 56 if I was to do something like this again and just see. And if that doesn't work, it's very easy to drop down to a 2mm needle as well to fix the issue. So I will, I guess, fiddle with that, test that out, and I will make sure I tell you guys my findings once I have done it in one of my new or upcoming episodes. Sock number 19. This is the May 2019 colorway. I finished knitting this pair in March of 2020. This colorway, I have to flip this sock around, is called Oi with the Poodles already. And this pattern is Vervain. It is a pattern by Sashiko Bergen, and it is also from the Line of Magazine 52 Weeks of Socks book. Now, something cool about this pattern is that the lace running down it is on the opposite side on each sock, so that when you wear it, the socks are inverted. I guess that's the best way to put it. Hopefully that makes sense. But this pattern is beautiful. I cast on 63 stitches for this pattern, actually. And now that I'm thinking about it, they do fit more snug with one stitch less. So maybe doing 56 stitches is my best bet if most of the sock is stockinette. Granted, okay, maybe not, because when I do vanilla socks, I do 60 stitches and those fit perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna have to fiddle with this. Instead of just talking about it to myself on this episode, I will figure it out myself. So this pattern is Vervain, like I said, 63 stitches. This is a twisted rib, but the lace also starts up in the twisted rib, so it's unique in that way. slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, wedge toe. Yeah, this lace is beautiful. I had to follow the pattern the whole time. I couldn't memorize it. It's got some unique stitches in there. You definitely have to pay attention to the pattern because of that. At least for myself, there was some new stitches. So if I wouldn't have paid attention, I would have screwed it up to no end. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. Love the colorway. Purple is one of my favorite colors, or it is my favorite color. So this was a joy to knit. And yeah, I think that's about it. 80/20 base. It's called Away with the Poodles already. And I love it. I love them all. Why am I doing this? I don't know. Ow. Okay, next sock is sock number 20. We're getting so close to being done. Oh my word. Sock number 20. This is the June 2019 colorway called Dragonfly Inn. I finished this pair of socks in April 2020. This is another pattern from the 52 Weeks of Socks book by Lina Magazine. This pattern is called Linea. It is by Mina Sorvala. I cast on 64 stitches, or no, I did not. This is the one pair of toe-up socks that I did. So I started with a Judy's Magic cast on, and I think 24 stitches. Did the toe, increased with, I think I increased with knit front backs, and then started the pattern, worked my way up, did this really unique heel turn, which looks just like a heel flap and gusset in my opinion, so I quite enjoy that. It's uniform with the rest of the socks that I've knit, because I'm weird that way. And I cast off with I think it's called the Super Simple Stretchy Bind Off, or Simple Stretchy Bind Off, something like that. If I remember, I will make sure I link it down in the description. But I will show you the front of the sock with the sock that's not on the blockers. So it is so pretty. It's this beautiful diamond pattern with garter stitches, or garter stitch in the middle of the diamonds. These beautiful cables. The cables are also running up the back of the sock. What are you laughing at? My husband is playing with the puppy downstairs. So yeah, that runs all the way on the sock. There is, again, no real ribbing on this. The pattern just kind of ends at the top, which it fits pretty well for that. I will say it flares out a little bit, and that is one of the reasons that I don't like knitting toe-up socks, because the cast off always seems to flare out for me no matter what I do. But they fit really well despite that. And yeah, even though I don't think I mentioned, it is the 64 stitch sock size. Even though I started toe up with 24, I increased to 64 eventually. I hope that makes sense. But this was really fun to knit. Surprisingly, easily memorizable. Once you understand the concept of making the diamonds, it's very, very, very easy to memorize the pattern and not have to look at it. So I really enjoyed that with this pair of socks. And honestly, I think I would knit another pair. It's busy enough to keep you interested the whole time. It's not like a really small repeat where you're kind of like, oh my goodness, I'm doing this again. Like, it keeps you interested the whole time. So I'm really pleased with this pair of socks. We are down to the final 2 pairs of socks. Holy cow. This is a lot of socks. So pair number 21. This is the July 2019 colorway, which is called Taylor's Old Fashioned Soda Shop. I finished these up in April 2020, and this pattern is called Candle Flame. Again, it is from the 52 Weeks of Socks book, and it is beautiful, and this is my favorite colorway out of all of the sock sets. by far. I've said in my main podcast episode that it reminds me of bubblegum ice cream, and I just love it. And again, cream with all sorts of pretty speckles in it, which you can't see because my camera's blowing out a little bit. But absolutely beautiful, and this pattern is absolutely beautiful. The 80-20 base, again, makes the stitches show up just gorgeously. The texture is beautiful. I love this pattern a lot. So I cast on 64 stitches for this pair of socks. This is a cabled rib, if you can tell. It is a 2x2 rib with cables, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, and a wedge toe. And this texture is just beautiful. If I show you the front of this sock, you can see that it makes these like chevron shapes on the sock. So very beautiful. The texture itself is very easy to memorize. You just kind of have to pay attention to where you're omitting it so that you get these chevrons showing in the stockinette. But otherwise, yes, I have the texture itself memorized in no time. It was just paying attention to where I stopped doing it and just did stockinette and so on. The 64 stitches on this sock fits me perfectly. And again, it's because there's texture going all the way around the sock. It just makes the leg fit so much better for me. And I did not cast on 64 stitches for this. What am I saying? 60. This sock is 60 stitches. So that might also be one of the reasons why it fits me quite well, now that I'm thinking of it. This one, I think, comes in 60 stitches and 72. So that definitely kind of shrinks the amount of people who can wear the pattern, which is unfortunate. But it's still beautiful. So I still would recommend it, and hopefully, I guess if you had to do 72 stitches, you could drop your needle size a couple sizes. If you normally fit a 64 stitch sock and a 60 was going to be too small, if you did a 72 and dropped down, I bet you even just to a 2mm needle, it would fit fine. So yeah, candle flame socks, and probably my favorite pair of socks out of the whole box. Okay, we are at the final sock. Oh my goodness, if you stuck around this whole time, you deserve a prize or something. I don't know. You're just as crazy about socks as me, I guess, if you stuck around the whole time. So, sock number 22. This is the August 2019 colorway. It is called Friday Night Dinner. I finished this pair as well in April of 2020. And this sock, which is blowing out like usual, is 64 stitches. It is a pattern, again, by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade from the Handmade Sock Society Season 3. These are the Ambient socks. So 64 stitches with a 1x1 twisted rib. This is an Eye of Partridge heel flap and gusset. Sorry, it's blowing out. And then if I go in and cover this so it doesn't blow out, there's this beautiful lace on the front and just a really simple textured pattern with knits and pearls on the back of the sock. Let's see if I can show you this way. Try and cover the color that's blowing out. Hopefully you can see that. It's beautiful. I would say for some... Okay, so I ran out of space on my phone and I had to clear some stuff, and hopefully I have enough time to finish this up. I don't know where it cut me off. I think I was talking about the lace on the front of the Ambient socks, and just saying that for some people, I think it would be very easy to memorize. For me, my brain couldn't wrap my head around it for some reason, but I think for a lot of people, this pattern would be very easy to memorize. So that brings us to the end of my Gilmore Girls sock set socks. I'm going to put this last one away so I can show you the box one more time. And hopefully not run out of space. I deleted some videos, so I think it should be fine. So there we have it. That is all 22 of my Gilmore Girls Woolberry Fiber Co. Club socks, sock set socks, something like that. I hope you enjoyed me showing all of these. I hope it was a nice getaway for you while we were distancing. My husband just popped in with the dog. Would you like to see that? There's Leia. Say hello. Say the video's almost done. It's okay. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing all of these. I hope you enjoyed my puppy. And we will see you next time. Bye.